I have a very special guest joining me today, Marcelo Daldoce, my watercolor teacher. Welcome back, Marcelo.
Thank you for having me.
We met way back during the pandemic when you would come here with a mask on your face.
And I barely could understand me with that mask.
Oh yeah, and then there was the heat. I think we started in the summertime.
True.
So we've come a long way. I've come a long way, and I have Marcelo to thank for the progress that I've made over the years.
You are a dedicated, student and craftsman and Renaissance. You do so many things.
I will say that I am one of the things that you said that I really appreciate, but that is true, is dedication. This is not, learning how to paint watercolors is not the sort of thing that you just pick up overnight.
No.
and dabble in 1 month, and then 6 months later you try again. One of the things that Marcelo insisted very early on is that it be treated like a routine practice.
Going to the gym.
Yeah. So part of the practice of watercolor painting, the first video that we did with Marcelo was an introduction to watercolors, the very basics, which was really essentially the first couple of lessons that Marcelo gave me when he was here. Today, I wanted to share with everyone watching one of the other techniques of the dedicated student, which is the master copy. This is a tradition that goes back centuries. All of the big painters in the West follow this tradition, not all of them, but this is a common practice of copying works from previous centuries. Why is this important? And how is it used?
Well, you copy because then you get into the artist's mind. You understand the artist's solutions, sometimes problems. We're gonna copy a painting by Sargent. And Sargent would not have become Sargent if he had not copied Velázquez. His master, Carolus Duran, told him about the Velázquez approach, told him to go to Madrid to copy at the Prado. You guys can Google that. There's tons of copies of Sargent, of Velázquez, and other artists, mostly the northern Italians. And that's the tradition that basically gives you, in a way, a direction. I just would like to say that copy doesn't mean that you also just become the person. It's just to understand sometimes a direction, a technique, and also to build those muscles.
It's a study.
Yes.
And just to clarify, because some watching might not know, Sargent painted between like 1880 and 1920-ish. That was his heyday. Velázquez's years are like 1600s, right?
1600s, yeah.
So this is an artist that's really painting works by someone who painted 200 years before, which is what we're doing today.
Yes.
We are, in copying Sargent's works, we're looking at a painter that painted a couple hundred years ago and learning from this painter. And this really is, would Velázquez have done copies?
Yes, he did it with Titian.
And what's Titian's years?
1500s.
So this is like sort of almost like passing on the baton. And it's kind of, when it's done in the context of a museum, it's very interesting to see. Today at the Met, they do have a copyist program.
Which you have done.
I did it. I failed miserably. I was trying to copy one of Repin's things and thought I was a whatever. And it was a disaster. I have it in the closet over there. I should show them. It's terrible. but you're in the museum surrounded by these priceless works of art, and you have your paints and your canvas and your palette with you. And this is what Sargent went to Madrid.
Copied Velázquez.
Was at the Prado, right? Like in the museum. In the
Las Meninas.
Yes. The royal family.
He made his own Las Meninas later. But he had 2 copies of Las Meninas. I just wanted to just clarify one thing. When we say about copying also, when you copy an oil painting, that is sometimes, let's say the fidelity, because oil, it's opaque. When you are doing a copy of watercolor, it's a little different. You can't really copy a watercolor because watercolor is transparent. It has gestures. It has the angle of the artist. So we are really looking to understand his process and yes, thinking of copying, but the end result will never be the same.
Yeah.
This is very important to clarify.
Okay.
Because there is the artist's mind and the artist's hand. And as in watercolor, it involves so much variables that it's impossible to copy a good watercolor because it has its own, specific gestures and calligraphies that only that person did.
Right. It's very individualistic.
Yes.
I should also share with people watching that these copies, even the traditional ones like Sargent copying Velázquez, they're never really done to completion.
No.
They're not, Sargent wasn't fuss potting over the copy of Velázquez to make it look exactly like Velázquez. It really is an exercise.
Yes.
And you can even see in these copies done by famous painters of other painters, they take it to a certain point and then they just stop. They're like, yeah, I've got what I needed to learn out of this. I'm moving on. They're kind of quick, right?
Yes, everybody has its own, let's say, purpose, right? Rubens, he copied everybody. And sometimes it was just to understand a specific anatomy. Sometimes it was to understand a composition. So it's not forgery.
Yes, I think that's the other thing. I was looking for the right word. Some people might hear the word copy, like, isn't that bad that you're copying something else?
This is a study.
Right. It's not a forgery. You're not trying to make something that looks exactly like the original work and pass it off as the original. Okay, so Marcelo and I have looked through a pile of books that I have on Sargent. I have a book on Sargent's watercolors specifically. We have a definitive collection of Sargent's works. And then this book, which was put out by the Met, has a piece that is in their collection. This right here. Marcelo and I looked through, and Marcelo suggested another piece. And then I said, can we please do that one? Because I would love to see this one. And Marcelo said, this is a difficult copy. It takes a much longer time. And I twisted his arm.
I will try.
Okay, I appreciate that. Because one of the other things that I hoped to convey to people watching is the novice painter sometimes looks to the cliche of what to paint. Like, oh, I'm going to paint this flower in a vase because it's pretty. And they might not see the beauty in something that they pass every day that they're not even looking at, like an alley. Yes. Like you're walking to work every day, or you're walking to the corner store or the coffee shop every day, and you might be looking at the cross light, but you might not notice ever that there's a tiny little alleyway to the side. I encourage everybody to really look at everything.
Paint your word.
Paint your world.
Don't paint another French cafe.
Yes.
There's too much out there.
Exactly.
Don't paint a painting that looks like a painting.
Yep.
Paint your surrounding, paint your room, paint whatever, because your word, it's unique.
So here's the thing that is also just makes me so fascinated in these lessons. Marcelo shows me things that I didn't really notice or see before. When you look at this, what do you see?
Well, we see a lot of expressive mark making, right? Very spontaneous, and a very controlled area here, which was interesting. Because even the drawing, if you get the zoom of how this drawing is, it's a very tight drawing, very, precise. So I thought it was interesting that even though he had a very precise, when he got back here, he's just like, very fast. Also, this painting has a peculiar part, which is the fold.
This right here?
So the story was that after Sargent passed, the family grabbed this big pile of over 100 works and donate to the Met. So Sargent had he sold paintings to the Boston Museum, to the Brooklyn Museum, And even, there was a huge exhibition, 10, 12 years ago of these works in both museums. So those were the selected works that he would, like and love. And then this was actually, the discarded work, you might say. So this was folded. Can you see here? This is folded. So when they got this piece was... So my theory, and this is our theory, that it's that he hated this painting, or he just thought that it didn't got into his standard. And I might think that he, this is a very, even though it's unbelievably well done, it's quite, a little, I'm gonna say sloppy, but I'm not saying it's unbelievable. It's beautiful, but I could see that here there is a care. And here is a little fast. That may be something that had happened. He painted a bunch of these paintings in a gondola, right? So the boat is moving. Maybe he ran out of time. There's many things that could happen that he just might left unfinished or not. But it definitely wasn't on top of his best works. Even here, can you see he went back with the gouache twice?
Oh, yeah.
Can you see there's a line here, and then he went back?
Yeah.
Sargent, it's famous for, he would paint someone's portrait when he was doing portraits of the gilded bourgeois at the time, and he would make someone's portrait, and then he would hate it. He would go to that face that took him maybe sometimes days, and he would erase everything, and he would be cursing himself. He had so much self-doubts, even though you might seem crazy for this kind of genius. And then he would come back, because he was always looking for this like fencing, the sport fencing kind of attitude. So if he wasn't in his standards of like bang, 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 done, he would redo it. Yeah. As watercolor, you can correct. I think he probably saw some things here that I am assuming might be not in his standards. And then he's like, I don't want this. Yeah. So that's my theory.
Can you talk about the color palette of this, please, Marcelo?
So the color, it's pretty simple, and this is what I always recommend for students. We were even checking Zorn around here. Yeah. Keep it simple. Look, here it's a warm color, which it seems more like a burnt sienna, maybe burnt like a raw sienna, and then here's some burnt umber and a turquoise.
Because the turquoise is almost kind of everywhere, right?
Yes.
And
that's all.
Almost 2-3 colors.
Almost 2 complementaries.
Okay.
That's all. Look, complementaries.
Yeah.
Blue and orange. Yeah. So keep it simple. Don't complicate. You might complicate once, you painted after, 10 years, 5 years. But at the beginning especially, keep it simple.
Okay. Now, you have done some great work with breaking it down for us. Can you talk us through what you've done, please, with these transparencies?
Yeah, I break down the painting in layers, and just a friendly reminder that we are not talking about 100% exactly what he did it. This is just an idea to understand the layers, because as he's painting, there's wet and wet. We can break down wet and digital. So this is just an idea, right? But the idea is that he had a first layer that he gets most of what the painting might be, and he leaves highlights. That's the biggest thing for your first layer. First layer is just to get a mood. It's just to place, the environment, or to feel the light. And then later, that's when you define. So here, there's no definition.
And these colors are going to serve as the light parts of the painting. Yeah, there's a sort of blue, there's like a cool and a warm.
Yes. So you can see that here it's a little warmer, here's a little colder. But just remember, this is a digital solution. Right. It doesn't mean that was exactly right. What I think we should consider is the most important is that in the second layer, that's when he defines these reflections.
Yep.
He gets a little more of a value over. He gets some definitions right here. You can see he defines a little bit of these stones, maybe a little more information here. Maybe here it's when he defined the details of those columns.
Mm-hmm.
But here is where really the painting comes up.
Layer 3.
Layer 3. So I broke this down in 4 layers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're thinking in the painting, this would be actually 5 values, right? Because you count the white. Usually when I do some demos, I only paint in 3 layers, but this was a complex one.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to break down in 4 layers. And here it's when you see the tunnel, right, of the door, the reflected light that it's coming from some of these reflections, especially the reflection from this wall here. So this layer is the layer that you might feel what the painting is.
Mm-hmm.
And then finishing, then you would have the final details, right? Which
The darkest.
The darkest dark. And just remember again, this is, I break it down and in
Yep.
digital, it's different if you would see the original. Especially here, there's more details. But this way you can sort of feel what was the process, right? Here it's a little too dark, but
Mm-hmm.
you see that, you know, get the idea of what it is. Because you see it's more foggy, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is not a sunny day. There is some sort of a mood on it.
Mm-hmm.
There is a little bit of a patina, right? A little bit of a aging. You feel how this is not this, you know, just recent painted wall, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is time here.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what this layer does, right? And then here he gets, and as you see, it's multiple colors. It's not one color, right? Because that's what gives that aging. If
Yeah.
you make this brown
Yeah.
or blue, it becomes a new wall,
Yeah.
right? So that gives you this, you know, this history, right? And then here you get a little more of that history, but then you get a little more of a, you know, dry brush and
Texture.
aging texture, and then you get especially the reflection from this water, which is reflecting from here, right? There is a little line here, here it reflects. And then here is when things define. So the biggest problem about watercolors, painter watercolors, they're the beginners, they want to start here.
They want to paint these big, bold, dark things.
But look how this doesn't work
Wow.
if you don't have this.
Yeah. Wow.
So
And it's
this,
very, very helpful to see this in these transparencies.
this is what I call, you know, being linear. You're looking for details.
Yep.
You're looking for the line.
Yeah.
Watercolor, at least for this Sargent, Velasquez, Titian approach which is called the painterly. The Venetian way, you look for the effects of light in objects. You don't look for the detail.
Right. You can see here is where, look at how straight these lines are, precise, and that's the last thing that goes on, defining the steps. Amazing.
Because
look at even this. This looks like a photograph.
If you paint this first and you start to add these layers, this will smear and becomes mud.
Muddy.
Poop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so where do we start, Marcelo?
Let's start
at
with,
the very beginning.
let's draw. I gotta draw.
A blank piece of paper.
And I have to spend my time here with the drawing.
Okay.
All right, so when I start, I usually look for, okay, so the image, like simple things, like what is the center of the image, right? So the center of the image, you see, is around here. So if that's the center of the image, right, so I'm just going to put like a line here in the center. I'm going to think about like the center of the painting, actually, it's going to be where he folded, right? See?
Yeah.
So that already gives me a little an idea. So for example, this is where that column is. See, here, that column. And if I think like a line in the middle, like a line in between this, between here and here, this is actually sort of where that light, the water is, the water reflected. So I don't start with, which is, you know, sometimes people do, where is the window, right? I don't start this way. I just map. It's just like, okay, if that's the center, so that here is where this column is. And then this column here, it's around here. So it's very, I never do measurements. Some people like to measure. I try to trust my eye, but as you see with just this, I already know where sort of the things are. And then I will start to put things around. So here comes the details. And one thing that I also like to do, I don't care about if the line is right or if the line is wrong. I'm just making, up lines. But look how I draw, with the side. So if I draw with the side, so I have my knitter eraser and I like to, let's say, get ready of the lines that it doesn't matter for me. But what I would like for you to see is that I just don't care about making marks as long as I'm, like just trying to understand these distances. And I will move things around. So if this is not right, I might move that line there. But as long as I'm using, my pencil on the side, this is a 3H, then it's easy for me to maneuver anything. What I would not recommend is if you grab your pencil and it's a dark pencil and you kind of draw very hard, then it's hard to erase and it gets all messy. So be gentle at the beginning. And then slowly things will start to become and be where they should be. And then once you get, the image or the lines where they might be, then you can get to an HB. But then again, use the side. Be gentle. Because even using the side, it's easy to adjust. But don't be too harsh with your pencil.
So some people don't know this, and I learned this in your class, specifically from you. You use two different pencils. You use a hard pencil, like 3H, which is easier to erase and puts down lighter lines. You use those to first put in your preliminary lines, and then when everything seems like the structure is in place, you go over with a softer pencil, like an HB or even like a 2B, or is that too soft?
A 2B will be too much graphite.
Okay.
I don't like to have too much graphite.
Yep.
And one last thing that is very important is in light areas, keep the information light.
What do you mean light areas? On the original?
This is light. This is light. This is very dark. So light areas, keep it light, keep it simple, because you will still see the line and it will still guide you. And you don't want the pencil lines to show through the paint. Yes. I see. So if you make everything too bold, the light parts will show the pencil and it will look like painting by numbers. Okay. But here where it's dark, keep it bold. Because this is gonna be covered up with very dark, thicker paint, right? And if your lines are too light, once you do your second layer, it's gone. You see? You still see the line? Yeah. Here it starts to disappear. I see. Okay. Great. Okay, so we're going to just spend some time drawing, and this is going to take quite a little while because it's very detailed. So, all right, now it's time to tape. Acid-free tape, white tape. Don't use colorful tapes because they affect the colors of your painting. And you just centralize. This is a board, hardboard, and then you just tape it. And tape every little edge, corner, everything. Sometimes I see students taping like this. Oh my God, I just taped Marcelo. This is not taping. Oh, not like this. No, this is not taping at all. The whole paper is gonna buckle. Okay. Tape everything. This is just a map. It is sort of a painting by numbers with the difference that dark areas are dark, light areas are lighter.
Oh, even with your lines that you've drawn, now we can really see.
Yeah, so everything is mapped. I even, let's say, over mapped this because I want to make sure that I get the information right. It's about your time, your patience, how much you want to draw. It's up to you.
How long did this take you to draw?
2 hours.
Okay.
It was a lot.
Okay.
Always fresh paint and a lot. This is the time for you to not save money. You're always gonna use all your painting. Look at that.
So you're using tube watercolor paints.
You can use the pans, and we will have another videos about that.
Yeah.
But they are usually dry. If it's too dry, use like a bristle brush to bring the color back. But you always should have creamy. As this painting has a lot of burnt
Pigments.
Earth colors, so this adding.
So you're propping up the painting slightly.
Yeah, so if you
do flower pot under there.
Yeah, if you do not have
tabletop palette.
Easel.
Easel. I meant.
You see, this is just a piece of tape.
Yep.
With whatever, could be a book.
Yep.
And that's it. And then actually here you can see it can be.
You can adjust the angle.
Yeah. So the key is to just keep a tape here.
You tape the bottom?
Yeah, you just put a tape right here.
Perfect.
So the tape will. Attention to this part.
Okay.
You should avoid any distraction. Holding the painting with your hand is a distraction.
Okay.
Hands free. Your hand only has brushes. No touching the paper. Set it in a way that you do not need to be holding this.
Okay.
Right? Simple, see? All right.
Okay, and so it begins.
So the first thing for me is to get some sort of a mood. I'm not getting into any detail. The only thing that I need to get is the white from here. See, that's white. This is white.
Yeah.
There is a little white right here. And maybe there is a little texturized white here. Everything else has a mood. So most of the painting has, this is paper towel. All right, before we start, just friendly reminders. If you are a right hand, everything's in the right. If you are a left hand, everything here goes to the left.
Okay.
So everything should be close to your painting. So you should avoid things like this, right? Water here, palette there, paper towel there. This is all distraction, right?
Yeah.
Everything should be as close as it could be because, as Sargent had said, once you paint watercolor, make the best of emergency. You're the emergency of making this fast. So as you see here, it's almost like, everything it's on my hand to be here. And I also actually want to move this a little closer. Can I do this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Everything to be as close as you could from the paint. I don't need this. So I will start by just mixing colors, and I will have some of these large brushes with me. So also I always start with the larger the area, the larger the brush. So now I'm just going to mix colors. I will focus on this muddy sort of yellow. One thing that I will also recommend is to keep it simple. These colors are mostly this kind of earth colors here. And everything is very, very wet. So you should always have a lot of wet piles.
I still make this mistake where I don't mix enough paint. I always think I have enough and then I run out of it halfway.
Just think this way. You always should have leftovers.
Leftover paint.
Never think that you're gonna have enough. Because
Okay.
if you think that, it's like what I have heard before. How do you get in some place on time?
Mm-hmm.
You arrive earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's just think ahead. Don't
Yeah.
just go, arrive on time. Don't plan to arrive on time. Don't plan to have exactly the same amount. Plan to have leftovers. It's not gonna be bad. You can use for the next layer.
Mm-hmm.
So I always have that in mind. And now here, make a lot. So the goal is to get some sort of that warmth, which is mostly in all the painting. So I have here on this part my warm colors, and I will have some variations of them. Some places have a little more of a muddiness, and as you see, a lot of water. Some places might be a little more, as I said, a little more muddiness, and some places might be a little more yellow, so I might add a little yellow.
You're constantly referencing the original, right?
Yes.
Keep looking back to the original.
Always looking this. So this is more warm, neutral, a little more brown. This is a bunch of colors there. There is also, and one thing that scheme that I have, it's impossible to see in this scheme.
Yes.
But here, as I am painting, there will be wet on wet. So that as I am painting layer 1, I will already get some notes of a little darks.
Okay.
So, but what is important, at least for my way to think, is this is mostly the warmth. In this section here, that's why if you have a palette, make sure that your palette has a lot of space. All right, so this is the colder, more turquoise. And as you see, this might be a little too vibrant, and the painting is not that vibrant. It's not really pure turquoise. So how I break that vibrance? Use a complementary. If you only use 2 colors, you are able to make so much painting. Look, orange and blue.
Yeah.
Complementaries are sometimes even more effective than full palette. All right, I think I'm good. The first layer is the fast one and the easiest one. So I'm gonna just put some water. This is just water, clean water. And I'm just gonna toss some water randomly, just because I want this to run a little bit more. Not here, because this is more the details. This is just to get some more, water, random water, wet on wet. Here I won't paint, because you see this is light. Actually, I just...
Oh yeah, there's those 2 light white lines.
And I actually put some water there, which I don't. This is just paper towel to dry that area.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is random. So the areas that you want to keep the details, you don't wet, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just put water in areas that they don't matter. And then the goal is top, bottom. And as I paint, there will be a little small detail areas that I have a smaller brush. Oh my God, I think I forgot to brush. And then there is a division here, so that's the part that I will already divide there. So Sargent has you see a texture. So I just go with a big stroke to get a little bit of the texture. And then here I will start to mix some of these colors too. And then here there is a little light right here that I will leave. See, there's a little light right there. Everything here in the middle, it's colder, so I get that colder color. And puddles. Puddles is the key for the painting, which means I'm always connecting. No whites here. Here's the white part. So here I will stop to leave some of this light. It's colder. Here it's colder. And I will connect everything with my other color. So as you see, as I am painting, everything is blending and mixing. Here it's a little water because the edges are a little blurred. And larger the area, larger the brush, larger the attitude. This is all warmer.
And this switching between brushes is so important that really takes getting used to and practice. You have how many brushes in your hands now? 3.
Could have even more.
Yep.
And what is important is look how now I will keep this place, this area alive. So this is alive with these puddles.
Yeah.
And then I will bring everything here to connect here in just a minute. So here, a little bit of water for just this edge. Here there is no information, so you just basically...
Because it's all dark.
All dark, so larger the area, larger the brush, larger the attitude. Here there is that dry brush. Look, you see, there is a little dry brush. One shot. Because the texture, it's the texture from the paper. We forgot to say that this is a cold press paper.
It's kind of rough.
Yes. So here I get the idea of those details of the column. Well, this painting is very big. This painting is, I would say, 22 by 15, so it's a large painting. So he has more texture here, and also he has way more area for details.
Right.
So I am, exemplifying a painting in a small scale here. And look what I said. Remember I said that was wet? Mm-hmm. So here I connect.
They flow together now.
Yes.
Both sides. Wow.
Then here you have a little water here. This is flowing. This just seems a little lighter too. Doesn't seem white. It just seems a little bit of this tonality. As this is still wet, you can maybe add a little, see, just tapping with my finger.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some patina there, little idea. This is just to get some texture here. There's a little texture. It takes away the stiffness, as I said, and it gives a little aging on it. And then this is a little lighter, so I'm going to add a little water. And here it seems that there is a little lighter here. And here comes like a gap of reflection. It's very calligraphic. This little light here, it seems a little lighter. And this seems a little colder, slightly colder. Remember, we are not making a master copy because it's impossible. It's just an idea. And here is a little bit of this color here, which seems a little yellow at the beginning and a little cold. And that's it for layer one. So as this is wet, everything is wet. I can see that in his original, there's a little notes that are bleeding. Like here is a little bleeding, and this is, you see, this sort of an idea of a, patina, or so this is a little more pigment. Look here on the bottom. So this, it's wet on wet, and this is just an idea of this blurs and bleedings. Maybe here. No, it's aging, it's time. So you're just painting time when you do these textures. here, maybe there's a little more here, and I'll be done. I also sometimes get confused of where I am here. All right, that's it for layer 1, which again is just to get a sense of where this belongs or where this exists.
And now you're going to let this dry?
Let it dry completely. If there were more wet on wet areas, I could work in more wet on wet, but I am gonna breaking down this in a little more wet on dry, because I want to be a little more technical. I could create more of these blurs, but I'm just gonna leave as it is.
So I see you were very careful. These little white spots.
Yeah, they're right there.
That's so tricky. Like, it's very easy to have those covered up.
Oh, actually, I lost one. I just saw here. See, you always lose something.
Oh, this bottom still here.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
But yeah, you try and you plan for the best.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't go as you thought, then you just adapt. And that's, I would say, an analogy to life.
Totally.
It's always gonna have its change, and the change might be the work. Because here's the thing: if this is perfect, then why not just scan the scan from the book, and just print? If you want something perfect,
Yeah.
it's the experience of making something that makes the work, not the work.
While this is drying, do you mix your layer 2 colors?
As I mentioned, there was a lot of leftovers here from the first layer.
Yep.
So what I can do is I will remake with my second layer, which is thicker. If I have, let's say, too much water, I just get a piece of paper towel, and I might take just on the top the excess of water. The pigment stays usually on the bottom.
Oh.
So you just get the excess of water. See how there's pigment on the bottom?
Yes.
So that's something that might be helpful. Just get the excess of water if it's too much water. But if there is no much water, you just you start to mix. But look, I always, especially for colder colors, these colors are usually more heavier. They usually stick on the bottom. So that's something. Just take the excess of water and then reassess thicker. First is light tea, second is like milk cream.
Like the consistency of the paint on the first layer is thin, and then as the subsequent layers get built up, you're mixing thicker paint, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And you really need to get that pigment thicker. So this is the time that you'll see it's very thick. If you are with a dry palette and you want to get that color, this is a bristle brush, cheap, $1, and that's easy to carve that color. This is too soft to dig in. This is easier.
A bristle brush.
Bristle brush, you see how it's back?
Yep.
So if you have a, let's say 5-year dry palette and you want to go back to those colors, spray some water and do this. See, it's back. So that's why we always squeeze all the pigment. Watercolor never goes bad.
Look how much thicker that is now. Wow.
That's the goal. Thicker, you see how? So now I will just get these colors thicker and darker. And this is what I would suggest. Don't take this process as the, let's say, the most boring or this is actually I would say as important as painting. So as you are mixing, just relax, take the moment. If you are not sure about the colors, get a piece of paper, do a little test. Don't test right in a print paper, because this is different, right? This is gonna act different. You get
Right.
the same paper that you were painting, and you just do some tests, and then you just check it out to see if that might work or not. But don't rush
The mixing.
and mixing. This is as important as anything else. And the same thing that happened here with his, which is the thicker and warmer. This is going to be thicker and the cold. And this is too vibrant. This is too turquoise. Look, this is not as turquoise. So I break this vibrance with a complementary. All right, one thing that I forgot to say at the beginning, while you are painting your watercolor and mixing your colors, keep all the distractions out of your life, out of this moment. Close the door, get the dogs out, no cats, no cell phone. Turn off your cell phone.
No listening to a podcast while you're painting?
I would not recommend. Especially if it's something that will distract you and involves your attention.
Yes.
Your attention is 100% here. You could be listening to some music that even would be no lyrics.
Yeah.
But it's almost like something that you are listening. If you do yoga, for example, just something to calm your brain and make your pace come a little down. So now, as I said, I'm just breaking that saturation. And I will make this one here a little more colder. So now I'm going to get a little bit of this blue. And also remember, you can't match a watercolor. We are just giving an idea of the colors here. It's impossible. It's impossible to forge exactly the colors that's there. All right, so I'm just going to spray some water just from far in just a few places. Not here. These are details. I will get this part later. It involves more, small brushes with, being meticulous. This is just to help me with the flow, and I will have some also sometimes water with my brush. So sometimes just a little water, especially here. This. And even though I made these colors, I might add some other colors if I think that it needs. Like for example here, this is a little colder. And as it moves towards the right, it becomes a little more brown. So as you see, everything is just bleeding and blending in wetness. And it sort of becomes a little lighter. And here it's brown. So look, this is blurred, water, and that is wet on wet blurred. See how it blurs? And it has sharp edges, then it means it's dry. Here is a big connection. And it becomes colder again. So as you see, I'm changing the colors constantly. And it's all about the shape. Well, shape. And then I need to connect things, right? So I will keep a puddle right here, and I will connect here in just a minute, and I will work in this area here. And as I said, I'm just guessing. I'm just thinking, maybe he came here, maybe he went there. It's almost impossible to really match exactly what he did. But I know that this is darker. Here is a little line, very small. Here I will leave a little lights. And here on the bottom, that's warmer. So look, water, it's gonna bleed, blur. Maybe that's too warm. So then I put a little code for that. This is negative space right here. And as I put water, look how it bleeds and blurs. And as this is all wet, I can get this detail, which is warmer. And this whole thing bleeds and blurs. It sort of ends around here. Sort of ends around here. And then bigger areas, bigger brush. This is colder. Look, water. This is cold. I'm adding now a little bit of a Payne's gray to that cold. Then it becomes colder again and lighter. Colder and lighter. Look, connecting. This is colder and lighter. And this is all sort of a blurred. This is lighter and a little more brown. Really an idea of those bricks. Becomes a little lighter here. Water. As I said, it's impossible to copy that because that involves
Like spontaneity, right?
Spontaneity, like you can't copy someone's hand moving, and also how the water is bleeding. So all these things, you just guess. What you can do is, if you brush with water, so this is, by the way, the brush that only goes to the water. And you can sort of maybe manage what you think it might do. But even though, like, look how this is bleeding more than his painting. So here I can pull some of this. As this is actually still wet, I can pull this a little down here. Still wet. And then here, water. This is about having to have faith. You just paint, and you just wait to maybe see what happens. I already put that oxide color there, so it's already bleeding. And I would call this part then. This is a little lighter. So I use my soft brush a lot. This brush is the brush that I am, let's say, adjusting things. But at the same time, it's not just adjusting, because if you keep adjusting everything, you will actually be smearing. That is like a silver line of how much I let it happen and how much I, you might say control or not. Here's a little lighter. It gets a little lighter here, and it becomes sort of a darker on the bottom. Avoid shaking perfect hands. Whatever happened, happened. Little water. And this part here, it's quite larger, so it's going to be a lot of pigment here. This is slightly more that muddy green, lighter. It's all wet and wet. And here's more turquoise blue. I might need to get that corner darker because I see it's a little lighter. And it's fine because this is all wet and it's all adjustable. It's colder. Very thick, and as it moves towards this part, it becomes slightly more warm oxide right here, and this edges blur. And as I said, this might be a little darker right here. Still wet. And here it's also darker. I thought it was dark enough, but I need a little sepia there to get a little darker. That's better. It's a lot of adjustments as you're painting, and you're just feeling this is too dark, too light, and so on. So it's colder. And here it's very oxide. This is burnt sienna. This is all abstraction, guys. You see, this is not a window. That is not, this is all blobs, marks that might give an idea that these are windows, but they're just abstractions. As this is still wet, clean brush. Just want to lift this. Take the excess. And that's it. Very random. To even help to blur this a little bit more, a little water from far. From far, not from close. And then something's gonna happen there. One piece of advice, if you feel that your palette is getting dry from far, keep it moist, always. But when you spray, your palette gets light, so it's also a problem. So it's always a balance of what is working, what is not working. So here, a little water, so this edges seems a little blurred. It's just water. Here it also seems a little blurred. And I can see that here it's a very light, like wash. It's almost like a very tea light right there. Very light, just to get like a extra texture. See, you use the side of your brush. And then that gets you a little bit of an extra texture, especially for like a Venice, old building. And then here I start to get into the cold color. I'm going to spray this. This is a little too dry. And then here it's warmer. Look, I'm using basically the same brush. More of the... Look how thick it is now. This is warmer.
Also, you should tell them that when it dries lighter.
Yes.
Because when you're painting, sometimes you think, oh, that's the right color, that's the right tone. And then when it's dry, it's like 1 or 2 tones lighter.
Great observation. It's always gonna, I usually say...
Because right now that looks much darker than it should be.
That's how you should paint.
Yeah.
I always paint with the feeling that you made it a mistake, basically.
Yeah, because when you started demonstrating for me at those years ago, I would think, that's way too dark. That's way too dark. And then when it would dry, it was exactly the right level.
So I always have in mind that it will dry lighter and you will have the... It's a playing chess situation here. You are always thinking ahead. Your colors move. Because your eye tricks you, the colors tricks you, watercolor tricks you. So I would recommend like a color theory class. Here, look how this is now a little warmer. See how I shift?
Oh yeah. Wow.
And here comes the area that I don't want to miss, which is a smaller brush.
Mm-hmm.
And I almost like actually missed here. So if by any chance there's an area that you didn't want to paint, just get a piece of paper towel. Tissue would be better. And you just pull that very quickly. If it's still wet, you will be able to
take off some.
If it's dry, then forget about that.
Okay.
There's nothing to do once it dries. Once it dries, it's over. But that was because I want to now get this calligraphic feeling that is happening right here. A little warmer. And let's see, I always work top bottom, so I will not go all the way down. I will stop here, and I will get some of this information right here, which is more oxide. And becomes darker. And look how on the bottom there is like a colder information right there. So here is where is the lightest. Here is all darker. Darker light. Water. So always keep this alive. Look. Keep these things alive.
You mean keep it from drying out,
Yes.
the edge?
Yes.
So there's a little bit of a puddle.
Yes.
Because
because you need the connections. If you disconnect, you have an overlap.
You mean if it dries completely and then you go to paint it in the same place, there will be two layers that are visible, right?
Yes, and that might be a distraction. Your image should only have the, let's say, the information that it needs. Every time you overlap, it becomes a third information, which might be a distraction. Like especially for faces. If you don't think this way when you're painting portraits, all those overlaps, they become, you know, skin. So this, as you see, this is the light part, this is the light part, this is just slightly dark, and I will come back here. I might go back here while this is still wet. From far. Not this way, from far. Because there is a little wet on wet situation happening here that I might get done right now. So this is just that oxide, which will pop, look, pop the column here. And as it moves down, it becomes colder. Warmer. And look, connecting, connecting. This is warmer. So this is actually a dry area. There's a dry edge right here, sort of. And as it moves towards the bottom, it becomes more oxide, warmer. And this whole thing sort of ends around here. That's where we'll stop for a minute because there are more information to do, but this is all disconnected areas, so I can wait for that later. All right, as this is still wet, and the painting has a lot of wet on wet right here in this sort of a tunnel, this is when I will get here thicker. This is going to be cream. This is going to be very thick, see? So that is for that area. So this is sepia, this seems a little darker here, so this is a little Payne's gray. And the reason to get this right now is that then I will have that feeling of a wet on wet. So this is, as you see, very wet. And it gets me a little bit of this information here. So I could wait to dry and I could paint this later, but to have that wet on wet feeling, this is the time to do it. It's right now. And I'm not really copying exactly what he does. What he did is just the feeling. Maybe this is already drying right here. A little dry already. So I'm going to put some water. This is when you do not put water and keep scratching, because the painting will come out. A little water from far. And here is warmer. And that's it. That tunnel feeling. And then here it might blur a little bit. And then here it's, let's see that line dark. And then here comes one of the darkest parts. So this is, seems a little colder first. Feels colder first. And as it moves towards here, then it's warmer. More warm oxide. And as it moves towards the bottom, from far, here it starts to get even darker. More oxide, more dark, right here, dark. This is frightening for a few students to get this dark.
Look how thick that paint is.
But this is the dark that should be.
Wow. Yes, that's scary. This is what I never do it dark enough.
A little warmer. Remember, I'm doing this right now because it's wet and wet in this painting. So this is a little more back to that. Remember, I'm not painting dark all this gray, right? You see, I have areas that the dark, it's happening. So here it's back a little bit for the darker right here. So wet, which is great. Look at the wetness, the bottom. What is also important is to understand that when you have darker areas, it doesn't mean it's black. You will see that sometimes the darks are warm and they might be colder too.
Chromatic shadow.
Chromatic shadow. Whatever name you want to call, just don't make it black.
You don't have black in your palette even.
This is my black.
But there's no, is there black on there?
This is my black, the two together.
Yes, but there's no, you're mixing sepia and Payne's gray to make your black, but you don't have ivory black on your palette.
No.
I think that's important for people to know.
Well, Zorn's palette has black, so I'm not against black.
Yes.
It's just is my choice, because
Yes.
if I need to go cold, I go here. If I need to go warm, I go there.
Right.
It's not a wrong to have black. It's just maybe sometimes people get confused and put black too much. So this is all warmer. Look how it's all dissolving. I need to be a little more oxide. So burnt sienna.
I like that part. Where it's going from the back of the alley coming forward.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Wow, look at how that doorway just pops right there.
And this is dry, so I will wet this a little bit. Actually, I'm gonna put this a little more information here. This is dark. You see his painting, this is not as bleeding as much as mine, which is fine. I'm just gonna leave as it is.
Sure. I like that.
And here it's dry, so the information here, I think it's good. It's dry. So then I will go back to that oxide color, and this is diluted, right? It's not as dark. So this is more like a calligraphic feeling. And it's just an idea. See, this is an idea of a column and a door. You can change also. It doesn't need to be always the same. Like this one seems dark. That's the darker one. Calligraphy. Remember, paint in one shot.
Yeah, it's very loose in his, like that, all that stuff back there. It's indiscernible what it actually is.
Yeah, it's just an idea of his concern again with the effects of light in objects. For him, for Velázquez, all the school that I'm talking about, it doesn't exist a door, it doesn't exist a person, it exists what the light is doing on the object. So a little information that is abstract here, and I will call this done. All these lines
were painted with the layer underneath as it being dry.
Dry.
Okay.
But here, this is blurred. So this is wet and wet. Now look here inside, dry.
Yep.
he painted that when the layer underneath was dry.
Okay.
Here, blurred.
So that was painted wet into wet.
Yeah, here,
okay.
Blurred.
Right, that line right there.
So remember that this idea of layers, right? I showed it digitally what would be. But once you are working with a wet on wet, even though I am doing layer 2, I'm already touching layer 3. So when you add, let's say, the wet on wet, then you add a layer.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason I'm doing that is, as I said, is I want this to melt, right? So yes, this is layer 2, but I had done layer 3 in some places that I want to be blurred. But now layer 2 could be sometimes just a little glazing, very light, and then it gets colder here. Very glazing, and then just get a texture. And here it seems a little dark, and I'll be done with this texture glazing. And as this is still wet,
Mm-hmm.
then I can get a little brush, and then I will get some of this linear details. See, just a little. See how it bleed? And it does its own thing.
Because it's going to bleed into that wet
Mm-hmm.
area.
Because he put water before, and the water takes the stiffness. It doesn't allow it to be stiff. It doesn't become right an illustration. That's it. Simple.
Mm-hmm.
This is wet. Attention, if I paint this, which I wish I could paint right now, my hand.
Oh, because you're going to rest your hand on that page?
Yes.
I see.
Let it dry completely.
Okay.
While that's still wet, then I can work in the bottom here.
Okay.
This would be, let's say, the idea for the next layer. But underneath this, there is this water here, you see? So I need to work on this water first, so then I can come to this part here.
You mean that more ochre yellowish color?
Yes, because there is like a under wave from the water.
Okay.
So then I need to, let's say, go back to that light. So I add some water here, so that doesn't have a line.
Mm-hmm.
And then I will get, also here there is a ochre light in between these steps. So I want to get that all lighter, almost like a, see, it's a little more lighter. So remember, the idea of a painting layers, when you are in a more, let's say, advanced, it doesn't mean everything when it gets darker, it's dark, black. Now I'm back to light. And the reason I'm starting here, because there is a little light coming this way.
Where? Sorry.
In between then, you see there's a little light.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm leaving that light. Here's sort of a connected.
Like in between the stairs, there's a light line.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
And then here there's a little other light coming this way.
It's amazing how that tiny bit of lighter layer that you're preserving creates the illusion of the steps. Wow.
And then here's the last one. This is the last step. Right there. And water, because there's no lines here. Here it's also blurred. Here's blurred, and then this is all gonna sort of become like this underneath blurred. And remember, bigger the area, bigger the brush. So this is all warmer at this corner here. And then this is light, more diluted, very diluted actually. Very diluted. Even more diluted than that. calligraphic. Even lighter, so I just added water. It's a zigzag. So you can copy this. It's just an idea. And as it moves towards the bottom, it seems to be slightly colder here. And here it's warmer. Now can you connect it? Here it seems warmer right on the edge. And here it seems colder. It's almost a watermark of a cold color. Well, as I said about thinking, like Sherlock Holmes, these are things that I also find as I'm looking. Even though I might plan, I might think about these things, as I'm doing, I bump into things. And again, the goal is just to get into his mind, and maybe that mindsetting might help your own work. Which dry. Once this is dry, then we get into the next layer. Maybe just some water. Right, so now I'm gonna, as I said, this already gives the idea from the light from the steps. Now I will get a little more of this darkness, which is the reflection from the door, which is a darker blue. So some things that already, let's say, work, you don't repaint. The only thing you need to repaint is what it's missing. Also, I'm gonna take maybe a little bit of this excess. Maybe there is 2 darks here and I don't need all of them. So sometimes also think about your palette. Maybe there is too much colors that you don't want. Maybe reassess the colors. It's sometimes important to step back, have some coffee, come back and just say, okay, now I need this and I need that. So here.
Right, because once a layer is done and it's drying,
you have plenty of time.
Then you can leave it even for hours or a day.
Yes.
And come back to it with fresh eyes.
I always do that.
Okay.
Rush while you're still wet.
Yes.
Once it's done, take a break.
Okay, that's great advice.
Or even better, if you have tons of colors that you love and you don't want to miss them, get a large Tupperware, a huge Tupperware with a lid. You put inside, close it. That painting is going to be good for the next day.
Okay.
Because you don't need to rush and, let's say, lose all what you mixed already. All right, so here's just a few things. Here's that, door entrance, and it's very calligraphic. Here it's like more like this color, and it moves towards cold on the right side. So even though you see this is a one specific shape, there are colors shifting here. Here it's darker, and look how this is all like connected here. And look how it connects to the top. Sort of connects to the top. I never paint bottom up, but in this case, it will be okay. Little water.
Wow, look at that.
To blur that.
That feeling of light on that interior wall.
And then this is all calligraphic. This is when I say, do not worry, just do it. If it's wrong, that's fine. Don't shake hands, one shot. If it's wrong, it's actually, let's say, good, because it then becomes less, photographic, less. This is a little darker. I will need to go back here later. And here is a little darker, colder. Here is darker, colder. So when it's cold, then look, Payne's gray, a little bit of a ultramarine blue, but I'm still into that turquoisey color. So here, larger area, larger brush, larger attitude. So I'm gonna make a big one, look. So now I'm reassessing my whole palette. And I feel too diluted, too tea. And as this is thicker and darker, more pigment. So I'm remaking that. It's more neutral. It's not as blue. How I break the bluiness, use a complementary. So I think now I'm good. So this is, look, the connections that I'm gonna try to get here. So this is even a little cerulean blue here. Slightly little cobalt cerulean. So this is water. There's a little bluish here. And then this connects with this part, which is darker. So here on this part is going to be my dark side. So this is dark. Maybe too dark. And it's slightly warmer as it moves towards the right. And then here comes that big dark blue. And then look how, do you see how it's all scratchy? It's all texturized?
Yeah. Oh. All right.
Can add some pigment like here on top, but I still keep that, roughness. And then here comes the more turquoisey. Oh, that was too much turquoise. So this is more the calligraphic feeling. Too turquoisey. A little more of that yellow. Maybe too dark. Do you see how I do? I paint and then I feel it. I don't test on my painting. I say, okay, this is too dark, too light. I put more water or not. So the decisions are happening as I am painting. It might be a little too dark, but it's okay, too late. And as it moves towards the bottom, it becomes a little more warmer right here. See some lines that are slightly more warmer. And then here becomes warmer. I still kept that light. And as it moves towards the bottom, then it becomes more turquoise, colder. Calligraphy. Leave gaps. And as you see, I am not painting this way, right?
That would have been what I would have done.
Keep it, everything as a print machine.
Okay. So does that mean you're going to go to the right now?
Yes.
Okay.
There is a texture here. And on the right side it's warmer. The puddles keep it alive.
Mm-hmm.
But they are drying too, so you gotta be fast. So this is very calligraphic. Maybe put too much lines on that. And here I connect. It's pretty much a lot of cobalts here. And as this part seems blurring, a little water.
Looks amazing. I've refrained myself from exclaiming that, but I mean, when you're looking at it close up, it just looks like blobs and like it looks like children's strokes. But it's crazy to see that the importance is the variation, all the subtle variations in
Cold, warm,
blue to
cold, warm, cold, warm, cold,
brown.
warm.
Yeah, like
Here, yeah.
there's a blue, and then
Becomes warm.
it's crazy.
Right here is warm.
A different color there, and then they're going to bleed together, and from far away it's almost indiscernible. And you left that little spot that of light from underneath,
Right there.
which is so important and can be lost, and you just slip your hand by accident, and then that's gone. Amazing. Look at this. Look at this.
All right, like this part, remember I said this is dry? So
Yeah.
this is now I will add a little texture here. That's the idea from the, and it's more diluted. That's also what shows the perspective. Remember this painting, it's double this size,
Right.
the original.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things here that I won't be doing, especially because of the time.
Yes.
Especially when I get here, I will be rushing there.
Mm-hmm.
But ideally, if he, and it's not ideally, when he did this is a larger painting done in, I would say maybe a full day,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a 2-day painting. I am rushing here, especially here. That's the job.
Okay.
And look how this has a little bit of separated lines, which are colder. So then as it dries, then I can come here and I can do a little lighter. See, it's a little lighter. And then, it's so funny, here is wet. So it's always attention to this part. Sometimes it's wet, sometimes it's dry, and so and so. Here is a zigzag. Here there is some lines,
Mm-hmm.
but I need to wait to dry.
Okay.
All right, what would be a good idea now is to work here. This is dry. So remember, this is so complex.
Why, Marcelo? Because you, from the very beginning, you've talked about this column as being a lot of work, and why is that?
Detail, small brushes, small decisions. But basically he got a colder version first, and he got that quite light. And sometimes he would maybe put some water, because some of these are lighter. Little zigzag. I am a little blind for all the audience. All right, so now I will wait this to dry. This is still darker. Now I will wait this to dry because there is a warmer dark on top of that.
Okay.
And while that's still dry, that's actually good because then I can reassess all the little things that it's missing. These are all little things. Remember when I was showing this? All the little things.
You mean on this last layer?
Last layer.
Yep.
So that's when I, will just look for like tiny little, that's when it becomes more like linear and you make more lines. But still, what you can get that is dark, you do it. Like here, that is a little dark around here. And also, this is not black. Sometimes you might dilute again. Here, like here, it's diluted, very diluted. I don't know if you can see, it's very light. Right there, see it? Right here. Those lines.
Oh, yeah.
So this is very light. See, very light. Third layer or fourth layer, whatever layer, doesn't mean black. It means what it needs. Here's darker. And then diluted here. Even here, a little water. This is going to create a little more perspective. Look how this is a dark line right here, right in the middle. I'm using a burnt sienna a lot. Right there. See?
Oh, yeah.
And look, this one has water. This one I can see the bleeding, the blur.
Wow. Pretty.
Even though I put water here and I thought it would be dark, it's not dark enough. I can go back there and add a little dark right there. I just put in water. See, it's bleeding.
Yeah. Wow.
And then here, dark. That's when I might become also too meticulous, and you decide how much you want to put in the painting or not. Even though I put these lines here, I think they faded. I'm going to go back there because they are very important for perspective. Remember, this was dry. Now it's time to get those lines darker. Even this actually should have been darker, but too late. But this is a dark line there, dark line there. This one is actually warmer, so it creates more perspective. Even this line. See this line right there? This line.
Yep.
A little water in this one. And to finish this is my warmer, darker. Again, I am very simplifying this part. Just a little on the left side. It's about the shape. Also a little dark right here. All right, this is when I feel I am now a little tired and I need to stop and look it back.
Yep.
I think the painting has the mood.
Yes.
It doesn't have the details. There's tons of details that I could work on it. And it's just a matter of, coming here, like if we put a detail, see there's darks here, there's another dark there, like here, there's another dark. So you decide how much do you want, like this one here. There is a little dark around here. You decide how much you want the painting to be accurate, if that's the case.
Or completed.
But remember, the goal is not to get a completed painting. The goal is to understand someone's process. You might enrich your work if you understand someone's solution, and maybe that might help you to achieve or not. Maybe you see that that's not for you, but at least you felt what it is to think like John Singer Sargent when he painted. I'll call them. All right, so I think for the watercolor lovers, Sargent still is kind of a puzzle, kind of a enigma, and I don't think anybody should restrain themselves for just trying, because you might learn something from making these copies.
When I was taking an official class with Marcelo at an art school where there were multiple students every week, he would give us homework. And one of the regular exercises was copying things. And some of those paintings were such, like when you would assign them, I would think, how am I going to copy this? And just as you said earlier, you just dive in. And I learned so much from even just attempting. With some of the things that you assigned to me, I copied them multiple times because I did them the first time, and by the end I realized, oh, I should have done this and I should have done this. So I thought, well, why don't I just try again? And then I tried again, and there was a huge difference between the first and the second attempt. The copying of these paintings really is a wonderful way to learn so much more.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful exercise.
And it's free.
Exactly.
Just
it's free.
Get a book and then think about what that artist might have thought, and then understand maybe. I mean, I would recommend, of course, if you can, take some, directions at the beginning. But once you understand how to, think like they thought.
Yep.
And Sargent is an example, but there is others. There's watercolors by Zorn, which is a little more opaque. A few by Sorolla. Each one has its own, like Turner. It's a great way to, with atmospheric, very toned down and thin applications. And then by, again, thinking the way they thought, you might think the way that works for yourself.
Absolutely, it is a great. It's a great way of seeing things differently.
Yes.
Like as Marcelo mentioned, the names of 3-4 different artists. Do them all.
Yes.
You might have a favorite, but push yourself and do the ones that you think. Like, I'm not intrigued by Turner, but I look at his watercolor sketches and think, wow, these are they feel so loose.
Yeah, each one has its own, let's say, time, and it was responding to a specific period in art history. But they might, inform you, and then you will, I also would recommend to read their biography. So many things you can just learn by understanding what they were thinking at the time.
Yeah.
I would just don't stick to one person.
Yes.
You should be, if you stick to one idea and one person, the chances are that you will become that person. And guess what? Nobody needs another Sargent.
Yeah. Marcelo has a wonderful way of teaching that's accessible to everyone online. So if anyone is intrigued to commit to learning watercolors, because your technique really does require a commitment of time and practice and homework.
Yeah, I'm not interested in just a curious hobbyist, but someone that it's looking for a really path of change and transformation. Then I give suggestions, and I give also tons of exercises, and we will have a link of my program
in the description of this video.
Yes. Thank you for having me here.
Marcelo, thank you so much for coming.
Yes.
This has been fascinating.
Yes.
Look, the light is fading.
Oh my God, it's so dark now.
Painted the whole...
I'm blind. I'm like, oh my God, let's stop this.
You really painted the whole day. Thank you. This was this is like a relay race. Not a relay, it was just like a race. Thank you everyone for watching.
Yes.
And
my pleasure.
Stay tuned for more.
We have
because
more.
We have a couple of other things that
we have excited ones
to discuss with you. Thanks, Marcelo.
Thanks. It's great.